Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne. Visit us at latenighthealth.com. We'll have pictures of all of our guests up there, including our next guests. I almost said next victims. Carol and George Bauer. And thank you very much for joining us. We're going to talk about the legacy of the Bauers of giving. And welcome to Late Night Health, the two of you.
Glad to be here.
So,
absolutely.
Before we talk about your tremendous gift to Norwalk Hospital in Connecticut and Nuvance Health, what do you believe the state of healthcare is in the United States right now? Is it broken? Does it need to be fixed? And this is not on the list that I got. I know. I have to ask you guys.
Yeah. I would say, Mark, it's in a state of flux. We first began our association with Norwalk Hospital, in this case, about 30 or 40 years ago. And in those days, the community hospital was the institution in the community, supported by the community, and generally serving not only Norwalk, but other communities, 4 or 5 around it. And it played a major role. If you, for example, were losing money on pediatric beds, for example, and you were making it up on colonoscopies, you could balance that out sort of, and you had the community focus in your mind. Recently, of course, because of the great press on costs and trying to optimize, we've moved towards systems. And so there are aggregates of hospitals, and one tries to control the costs by optimizing above the local level, perhaps at the system level, or even higher in some cases. And so the community hospital is changing in nature from being an independent hospital serving its and associated communities to being a part of a larger system. That has 2 dimensions to it. One is you're less in control of your own destiny. And 2, however, you have access to being able to pay very high priced specialists to come into your system and give you services that an individual hospital would not be able to afford, for example. So it's a long debate as to the direction we're going. But I believe it's inevitable. I believe healthcare and its associated technologies are moving us inexorably to systems.
Carol, any addition to that?
No, I just think it because of the change in joining multiple systems, people are not feeling as close to the local community hospital. And our volunteers, for example, during COVID, of course, some of them, we could not go into the hospital. And it's hard now to come back, and we keep promoting in our speeches that we are a community hospital and want to meet the needs. But it's a challenge. It's a true challenge.
It's a challenge. I mean, when a hospital can charge $10 for for a generic acetaminophen tablet, that bothers me. Am I right to be bothered?
When a drug is charged $10 for one acetamin in the ED, for instance, or as a patient, it bothers him. And why should he be bothered?
You believe that's too high, Mark?
Yeah, well, because I can buy a whole bottle for like, what, $2?
Yeah, that is, in my view, outrageous. We, I hope in our hospital would never be guilty of that. The emergency room, however, has its own set of circumstances associated with it. They're terribly expensive to keep up. You're taking on all comers. In our case at Norwalk, we have never refused a person because of his inability to pay. To do that, however, as you might guess, you need to pick up what you lose on the swings, you have to make up on the merry-go-rounds, as investment bankers say. And so you have to keep prices in balance such that you can at least break even. And in our case, we barely break even. But the patient paid for services, for example, an emergency room, especially in a community like ours where we're serving a lower economic group, are such that you really have to balance your costs. However, the whole drug situation, I think, is another set of questions.
Oh, yeah.
I think we are in deep trouble in our country in terms of our inability of Medicare, for example, to negotiate with drug companies. It seems to me that's a piece of legislation that is long overdue. And to the extent that we can, we participate in efforts to try to get that fixed.
I have to, here in Southern California, where Daryl and I are, and we both grew up here, there was I guess it was in the 60s, maybe even in the 50s, there was a guy who sold stereos, right? His name was Madman Months. I lose a penny on every system I sell, but I make it up in volume.
That's a classic old comment.
It surely is.
And that'll get you out of business real soon. I don't know what happened to Months, but that kind of logic will get you out of business real soon.
He's been gone for 35 or 40 years. Our guests are the Bauers. We're talking about the fact that they have donated $20 million toward the construction of Norwalk Hospital's new patient pavilion. And it's a centerpiece of their building our future together in the community. And I know that the people at Nuvance and Norwalk Hospital are very happy that you've made this contribution.
When I heard Norwalk, I went, oh my heavens, that's great news, because I was born and raised in Norwalk, and it's actually Norwalk,
That's
California.
right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but it's Norwalk, California.
Were you born at Norwalk Hospital?
No, actually, Linwood, California, and it was Norwalk, California, not Connecticut. So
Yes.
missed it by quite a bit.
Only 2,800 miles.
Yeah, exactly.
Why is the question? Carol, I'm going to start with you this time.
Okay.
Why? Why are you making the contribution?
Well, I have been involved with the hospital almost half of my life now, which is 45 years. And I've been at all sections of it, from a volunteer in the emergency room for 25 years, then on the board, the president of volunteers, on the board of trustees, where eventually I became chairman. And then after 6 years as chairman, I have become a chaplain, because early in my career out of college, I was debating whether to go into the clergy or to teaching, for which I was trained, and I did the teaching. So I thought, well, let me pick up this clergy piece, and because we've been involved in churches most of our lives. But anyway, the point being, I have seen the hospital from every aspect, and as chairman and volunteer used to walk around throughout the hospital, from housekeeping to engineering, to all of them, and get to know the people. So in a way, it's my family. And I hope I continue to work there. George and I always say, when people say, why don't you do something for yourselves? Our answer is, what makes you think we don't love what we're doing?
I love it. Listen, we're going to take some time out. We'll do some business. And when we come back, we're going to get George's response to that as well. We're talking with the Bauer family. We're talking with Carol and George Bauer. They've made a contribution to the Nuvance Health Norwalk Hospital of $20 million. And we'll tell you what they're going to do with that, what Norwalk will do with this new pavilion as Late Night Health continues. Don't go away, more coming up. Recently, I met Jacqueline from Bright here in Los Angeles. She gave me a hearing exam and then showed me how to hear again with the new Signia Pure Series hearing aids, and she can give you your life back too. I hear birds chirping, birds cooing, and even my wife. They easily connect to my smartphone. The Signia hearing aids are amazing, and with the charge and go, I don't have to fiddle with batteries and hear all day long. Not hearing is frustrating for you and your family. I know you don't have a problem, but trust me, call Bright Here now for a free hearing exam, a $125 value, yours free, just for making an appointment now. There are offices throughout the Los Angeles area. Call Bright Here now at 323-424-7100. That's 323-424-7100 for a free hearing exam. There's no obligation. Call now, 323-424-7100, or visit them on the web at brighthere.com. Late Night Health is proud of our partnership with the EBC, the Evolutionary Business Council. Check them out at ebcouncil.com.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Alyn. The show continues in a moment. If you're listening to Late Night Health right now, you're part of the growing target of baby boomers we're serving. Hi, I'm Daryl Wayne, producer of Late Night Health, inviting you to join the Late Night Health family. If you have any business targeting the growing boomer market, Late Night Health is the ideal advertising vehicle for you. From vitamins to insurance, alternative health to Western-style medicine, Late Night Health caters to the growing population of those over 40 years old. This vibrant demographic has expendable income to fight aging, purchase travel, take care of aging parents, or just have fun. Find out about the advertising opportunities with Late Night Health. Call us at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308, or email us at info@latenighthealth.com. That's info@latenighthealth.com. Join Late Night Health as we empower people to take charge of their own health care. Call now at 805-391-0308. That's 805-391-0308.
Sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it. Words are a critical aspect of success. How you get your point across is a crucial part of what makes anything sell. So do it right and hire a writer. Whether it's articles, blog posts, technical writings, website content, product descriptions, or ghostwriting anything from a novel to a nonfiction book about your navel, contact Servet Hassan. If you want it to sell, write it right. Email Servet at servet@servethassan.com.
Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, along with the insane Daryl Wayne, and we welcome him back. He's been gone for 14 weeks. Wow.
14 weeks.
14 weeks. Wow. Well, he is back, and we're not going to let him go away again. Carol and George Bauer are our guests. We're talking about their phenomenal gift to Norwalk Hospital's new patient pavilion. And we were talking about what George and Carol did with their lives. Carol, you're you're still teaching, so tell us about that briefly.
The whole career, or I've had several experiences in teaching, beginning in the public school system, different ages, and then Sunday school teaching, Cub Scouts, Girl Scouts, and so teaching has really been my love and my career.
And you're still doing that today.
I am still doing it.
And George, you were an engineer and you became an investment banker.
I did indeed. I was on my way to a PhD at Washington University in St. Louis, and for my master's thesis, I wrote a program on the first IBM computer and fell in love with the stored program concept. I always say I have two loves in my wife and the computer, in that order. But
that was the right answer. What do you think about these?
Oh, they're great.
iPad.
IBM Apple made a big deal of that in the early 80s, and IBM announced their first one in August of 1980. They had expected to sell perhaps 100,000. They wound up selling 300,000 the first couple of years. So it was a major step forward for the computing industry.
Got it.
It's interesting. I read a book on Bill Gates several years ago, probably 20, 25 years ago. And his prediction was within the next decade that everyone was going to have something about the size of their wallet that they could carry around and put everything in. And at the time, there were no, nothing like that. So
yeah,
it's pretty accurate.
Well, miniaturization has really been in the forefront of the technology development. And I do believe that the PC that you just showed, Mark, will get smaller and smaller as we continue to stack more and more circuits on a chip. But beyond that, there's something called quantum computing, which takes a whole nother view of computing that could be another level of miniaturization.
Yeah, I just have to tell you that with the Apple watches and watches and all of this technology, you really know how it works. But to me, it's all magic. It's hocus pocus. Because the fact that you're in Connecticut and I'm in California, and Daryl and I are in California, it's just magic the way it works. All right, let's talk about your contribution. What will Norwalk and Nuvance do with the money?
Yeah, well, we have a hospital at Norwalk that has a series of buildings associated with the campus. The oldest one started at the beginning of the Depression in 1929. So it really needs replacing. We've updated it. I've been on the board and treasurer of the board, and we've been pouring money, as many folks have to do, into older buildings. But we've just finally bit the bullet and said we're going to go out and raise some money and replace that building, plus some other facilities, plus move the hospital further beyond the critical care facility and into some urgent care centers around the hospital to make the services more available to more people. And so we decided to put together a plan to do that, and we wanted to get it off the ground. And as I said before, we've been extremely blessed in our lives. So that seemed to be a very good place to begin.
That is terrific, and they're going to put things in like private rooms for patients, having the latest medical equipment and technology. It's just truly amazing. When you look at the years that you have put into this hospital, how has it impacted the community from being a small community hospital to being a major medical facility today?
Well, I think just being able, we had the opportunity to meet most health problems. And we hope to continue to do that. However, with the merger, we are also merging in some areas with other hospitals and having some specialists. We always had first-class medical care for the community and have had great support, Mark. The community people, it's their hospital, and they know that they could come. Anyone since 1893 in the old, which was just a couple of rooms, hospital could walk in and be cared for regardless of what they had to pay, what they didn't have to pay. But we, yes, we want to continue to be there, and I think the impact is better facilities. We still have a wonderful hospital that has been built up since the old one, but we do know that we need to better the facilities. It's a spirit lift for the staff and for the community. So we want to continue to be the best there and serve those who have supported it.
Over the last couple of months, we've done a number of interviews with some of the specialists at Nuvance, and I'm always impressed with what they can do and what they do. For your own, hopefully you have not had to utilize much of the facilities yourselves at the hospital, but you also volunteer, not only money, but your time. And that always impresses the hell out of me, excuse my language, because, giving money is one thing, even huge amounts of money, but giving your time, that's your personal time. What do you get back from that? George, I'll start with you.
Well, you just have to go to the emergency room and see things happening down there with quality physicians and nurses, a top-notch facility. If an accident happens on Highway 95, we have a trauma suite. The interesting thing about healthcare is you normally don't need it, but when you need it, you really need it. So we began with the emergency room, and that, I think, introduced us to just exactly how much need there is in a community, not just for those in the exclusive suburbs, but those who are struggling paycheck to paycheck, not far from where the hospital is. And we spent a great deal of time in those neighborhoods, and we know the struggles they have. So being able to have as good a health care for them as we enjoy in New Canaan and Greenwich and Darien warms our heart, to be frank.
Got it. And Carol, how about you?
Well, getting to know the hospital and the work I do, we're a family. And just 2 nights ago, we were in a restaurant, and a woman brought her 2 children up to us in the booth in which we were sitting and said, Mrs. Bauer, and they were teenagers. She said, you took care of these children when they were in the neonatal intensive care unit. It doesn't take much more than that, Mark, to continue to dedicate one's life to seeing now 2 healthy teenagers. But the people don't forget it. They don't forget it. And how often we are in different places and people will come up and just say, thank you for being there for us. And that's, what else do you need?
I think Carol and I have another dimension to our lives. We started out in both of us in very modest beginnings, and we've been truly blessed in our lives. And so I think we perhaps have a better sense of people who are in need than many other people who didn't have that kind of background. And that's very helpful in terms of the spirit of giving, I think.
George and Carol, thank you very much for spending some time with us here at Late Night Health. We're rushing for time. I'm Mark Alyn. If you want information about Nuvance Health and Norwalk Hospital, you can go to our website, and we'll have a link on there, and pretty pictures of both George and Carol up there as well. Daryl, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
And we will see you next time. And thank you, everybody at home, for tuning in and listening. Join us at latenighthealth.com. Have a great week, everybody. Have a good week. And most importantly, have a healthy week. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.